Hello everybody. In this video, I want to talk about media queries and CSS. And media queries help both. There's different functionality, but the most common one is to target different window size in order to tell which CSS rule is going to be applied to different elements or classes, depending where the window size. And that's actually the most common case. So this is what I want to focus today. And I think the best way to show it is to actually create a mini responsive design. I'm thinking about doing a navbar. So I want to do a navbar, pretty much so the one that are at the top on the websites. We have the brand on the left, we have the links on the right, like the most common one. But when you are in a mobile phone, the links are disappear, and then a menu button actually shows. And when you click that menu button, like the navigation actually expands, something like that is what I want to do. And I want to show you how to achieve that with not that with minimal CSS and JavaScript. We want to spend around like 100 lines. It's actually not that minimal, but I want to show you how to do this particular project. Something extra that I want to do is also want to show you a way to build your project faster. And probably it will work if you already have Node.js installed in your computer. So let's actually get started. If you already have Node.js installed in your computer, you can follow this step. It's now just create the index CSS and JavaScript files the traditional way. But I will use Bit for creating the project. And we've been using Bit for development. So far, we're using Bit for the development server to render the index file. But now we can actually use it too for bundle. And I will show you that how to bundle the application and how to create the development and scaffold the project itself. So in order to create a new project, we just do npm create bit. And let's put a latest, actually. If you don't have it, it will ask like mine. If you want to install it, I will say yes, proceed. I just click enter in this case. And I will get the name of the project, because let's do Navbar. And then start which framework you want to use. There are different frameworks that we can use in JavaScript, and the one that Bit has by default is Vue, React, React Lead, and Svelte. We are not going to use any of those. For now, we use vanilla JavaScript, so traditional JavaScript. So we select the first one, and you can actually move through the arrows, but let's select vanilla. And then it asks you use vanilla or use TypeScript. TypeScript is outside the scope of this course too, so let's use vanilla itself. And it's there. So we just need to go inside our navbar, and then we need to install dependencies. We saw it in a previous video where we can actually use ESM importing directly through Skypack. In this case, it's a little bit different. That's in order how to handle your development setup in your computer. So let's actually install those dependencies that we need to have, npm install. And then with the command npm run dev, we don't need to run npx bit anymore. So we just do npm run dev. That will launch a browser in a new and it should actually here. So by default, it gave us this, and this is like the basic JavaScript. We already have some kind of styling. We see the text. You have a button, and it's actually pretty neat. You have like a counting there, and you have that gradients over when you hover over these two images. It's a really good template. We are going to get rid of it, so let's just put it over there. Let's put it over here. I cancel the project. Let me open a Visual Studio Code and npm and run again. So I have my project open at this moment. And as you can see right now, we have a bunch of files over there. And we need to start doing some kind of cleanup. So we know we Now about the HTML one, we have some image like this JavaScript image is actually this logo. We have the main JavaScript file. Is pretty much what it is through JavaScript. Is sending all this information and inserting where the app ID is. So we just have an ID of app. We don't have anything in this HTML because everything got injected to the JavaScript file. But this is not relevant. For now, I just want to show how this actually works. In the public, what they have is like another image there, so we have the other image over there. So what I want to use for now is I will go to the index, and something really interesting here is we don't see the CSS file being imported, but in the main JavaScript we can actually see that we can actually import that CSS file, and it got injected in our site through JavaScript. It's pretty neat. Sometimes it's better to keep things in one place. It will depend the case. It will facilitate a couple of things. So I like that structure, so we leave it like that. So let me start doing some cleanup. So the first thing is on our index HTML, we need to remove the five icon. That's the one that we have right here. Let's not use it for now. Let's change the name. The title is going to be Navbar Demo. And let's remove the empty div. We are going to keep us importing the module, and then we will add the traditional HTML the way that we already saw it previously in the page. Now that we deleted that, let's actually clean more things. Let's actually delete the bit file. Actually, let's remove the public completely. Let's go to this one. We don't need it anymore. You can delete it. And delete permanently. There you go. This fails because, well, the JavaScript is actually what's important in it. So let's remove pretty much everything except the styling. Right? And in the style, we have like a bunch of basic styles. Let's just, I don't need to have any style for now. So with that, we just have our empty application and web page, and we can test it with simplest one. Hello there. Perfect. And we can actually try if this is working. It is. So our JavaScript, CSS, index, HTML is working the way it's supposed to. So now that we have this, let's start working in a project. What I want to do is going to be just a simple navbar on the top. I will say we have the branding, we have the icons, and when we are in a mobile phone, we can actually do that through inspect. We can minimize the size here. I would like to have an icon here or a button when you click it, then the menu will be shown horizontal after the section. So it should work flawless. So let's see how that actually goes. Let me just close this inspect for now because we don't need it. Let's start doing what we started the last time. And I want to reset all the CSS. I just like to have that control since the beginning. So all extra sizing and padding and things like that, I just want to get rid of all of that. So we remember what we did is we use the new CSS reset. It's one of most that we have. And we can use the same, but we can actually say it uses an npm package. And that's a pretty cool thing that I want to show you. So instead of copying over, creating a CSS file, because we have the bundle, and we, of course, after the bundle need to be built, but we have the server that is working that for us. We can install dependencies through npm package. So if I click this, we have the CSS reset, and it's just saying how to use it. And if we have something in React, we don't have React, but I will show you a little bit how that actually works. It will be really, really similar to this line of code. Okay, so we'll open my terminal here, and I will just execute npm install save development, and let's call it the new CSS reset. That will install the dependencies. We can close it, and it actually got installed in my Git, in my node modules folder. So we open those modules, we have a bunch of dependencies that the server, the bit uses in order to be available to work. And we can see that the new CSS reset is here, CSS, and we have the reset right there. So we already have the CSS file. We can just import it here. So let's get back to here. Let's see if that actually works. So the way that this actually works is to relative path. So in order to the relative path, we do dot / and we select node modules, the new CSS reset, and then we have the CSS folder and the reset.css file. When we save it, our development server will refresh the page for us. So let's save it, and we can see that everything is working. We see that the sizing and the margin was removed. Let me remove the style for now, because I don't need this. The only things that I want to do too, let me close this. So we just import it through here, and we're keeping our HTML the most clean way that possible, right? Is go to Google Forms, and I already have it selected because it's showing that I already did it. But I like this one too, railway. I selected the thin, regular, bold. You can select the one that you wanted, doesn't matter. And instead of using the link, I will use the import statement now. And because in the HTML parameter, it uses inside styling, and that's actually pretty neat too. So we want to pretty much copy over this. And in our style sheet, that is the style CSS, we want to paste it. And then we need to apply the font family. So let's copy this one. And let's see it through here. And let me just zoom in a little bit. So we're able just to paste the import statement in the CSS in order not to paste it on the other place. And then we can just do a simple body and paste the font family there. When we save it, it got applied. That means that it's working. Let me reset my size. So now that we have the base element, we can actually start doing the navigation that I want to show to everybody. I'm sorry for that. So let me just verify something, check my notes. So the first thing that I want to add here is inside my HTML body. Let me remove the hello there. And let me start adding my navigation. And that will be pretty much at the top. So here in my navigation, I will have a brand, and let's do H1 actually. So let's super brand. There we go. And then what I want to do after the brand is I would like to have a button, right? Let's call this menu for now. And then after that one, we need to have a list of different links. So we have a unordered list, and we have the list element. That list element will be a link, and for now we don't have where it's supposed to go, so we just put a pound just to keep it where it is. And let's start putting here, like, I don't know, register, for example. Register, and then we can copy over the links. Let's copy those, and let's do services. Let's say that is a website, right? Pricing, actually, pricing. And let's do contact. There you go. It doesn't look that well for now, but just let's wait a little bit how we can actually do this. So the first thing that I need to do, or how I need to start thinking, is I need to start thinking in mobile design. So it's where we want to start. And then through media queries with the minimum, it's an easier way to do it. I will say, well, the window it have a bigger size. And let me actually show you how we can see that. Let's go to inspect. Let me send this one to the bottom. And we can have here the dimension responsive. And we can see how many pixels our window size is. And we can actually play around with the design for that particular case. So let's close this. Let's go through here. So what I want to do is my super brand should be on the left, my button should be on the right, and then the menus should be right here, pretty much. But in order to make this together, so probably I need to grab this in a div. And it will be the main area, and this will be pretty much the menu itself. So let's add a div. And I will send my brand and my menu inside. And let's call this, let's start adding some classes here and there. So my navigation itself is, let's just put a class navigation. Call this navigation bar. I just added to identify elements. Here one is called class. Just call this navigation. Let's just call main. Navigation main, pretty much. Our UL element will be pretty much our menu. Oops, menu. And every list item, and let's select every one of those. We can have class, and with the Alt key, I was able to select in order to have several, but you can do it several times at the same time too. It doesn't matter. So this will be my menu item. So this, let's call this navigation main. So navigation bar, navigation main, and this is my menu, and this is my menu item, right? What else do we can actually have here? I think this something extra that I want to do, and actually I believe we have enough for now. I need to add an extra a wrapper probably around everything, but I will show you why in a minute. So let's start doing the CSS here. So I want to add some colors, and you can look for palettes of colors in the internet or something. In my case, I want to use 3 different colors that I already have identified. And we remember, we can use the color through variables, so it will be faster. And let me just copy over those. So I have my primary, my secondary, and my accent color. And what I want to do is I want to have my menu bar. And let me just put right here, dot menu, display None. Let me hide my menu so we can actually just do the navbar for now, and then we can see work on the menu later. So what I want to do is I need to start working with my navigation, and I want to do the background that is supposed to have. So my navigation bar, I believe we call it. Yes, on navigation bar, we need to have a background color. Let's do variable primary. And in theory, it should work. We did it. Okay. In navigation bar. Oops. Navigation. Oh, I had a typo. Right here, navigation. Yes. So that's navigation. Navigation. Save it. Now we can see that it's right there. Let me get back to my body and let's check the color of the text. All the text here will be secondary. Perfect. So now, actually, let's put it on navigation because probably if we can need to do something later, we can put it later. So we have the font family, we have the navigation bar, and that's pretty much what we need. Okay. Now, what I want to do with my next element, my navigation main, I need to put the menu button on the right and have the space between those. But in order to do it, we do that through, we can do it through grid, we can do it through flex. In this case, let's actually use flex. And let's say that for navigation main, it will be display flex. Okay, now we can see that it's actually there. By the way, really quick, this is actually a button. I know that we cannot see it right now. Let me just comment it out my reset. But it's actually a button. You can see it right there. But the reset is the one removing all those styling. Okay. So let's actually do display flex. Let's do align item center, probably. And we can do justify content space between. So space between, you set it to that. Cool. After we have that, will be really interesting is we need to do what else we can actually add here. Let me actually add the grapper that I was thinking of doing. So I want to add a new element here. And the grapper, and that will be after the navigation bar. And will be removed. Everything should be inside the grapper. Right? And the way that I need to do with the grapper is that we have navigation bar. Let's put the grapper to go through here. I want to add some styling here. So I need to the grapper to be 100%. And on this right there, just in case, keep it 100%. With 90, like the grapper is not completely, but looks right. But let's actually do 100% to take all the space. And this is pretty much what I wanted to show you. So if we do this smaller, for example, like this, and then we can do margin left out row, and then margin right out row, we have centered a little bit there. And it's pretty neat. So when we actually minimize this a little bit more, we can see that it actually stays a little bit far. It doesn't touching the left and the right side. In this case, let's actually keep it at 100%. And I will show you why in a minute. Because we are going to add a little padding, and then we will change the different width to different screen size through the media queries. So let's add some padding here. And let's add probably 2 EMs and 1.5. Yeah. There you go. Now we have our navbar start looking like one. I like it. And I would like to make this a little more brandings look like. So let's go to the index.html. We have a super brand. And what we can do there. Let's actually add a little span here. And just put the brand word inside the span. So yeah, it's still showing the same. And let's change this one to have a class of brand. So when we have the brand there, we can actually style it. And we can actually say our navigation main. So we have the navigation, we have the brand. And we can increase the font size. Let's do that 2.25 EMs. Yeah, nice. Let's do the line weight a little bit bigger. 1.5 maybe. Oops. That could work. What about if we move to ramps? Yeah, let's actually move to ramps to the relative one to the root. It's something similar. I will not go to details. You can go to Mozilla MDN if you want to see it. But it's another pattern to do that. So let's actually do that. Let's actually make a little thinner. So let's do font right. And we have the 100, 400, and 700. So let's put 100 size. Perfect. And let's separate the letters a little bit. The letter spacing just a little bit. Have that little separation, probably a little bit more. There you go. I like it. And the way that I actually put that span there is because I want to do a different styling for the word brand itself. And what I want to do there is let's put actually the accent color in this word and probably do a little bit more bolder size. So let's select the brand span element and let's do wait, actually let's change it to which one do we use to download? 400. Let's actually use 400. Yeah, because probably 700 to me. Actually, it's not. Let's keep 700. And let's do the color will be our variable accent. There you go. And yes, it's too much. Let's do 400 here. There you go. Super brand. We have the branding on the left, and we have our menu on the right. So let's actually that button. We can do some. Let's add a class to that button. I don't think I had a class here. Where is it? Menu here. Let's put this button and make a class of menu logo. And Now we can actually select it. So let's select our menu toggle. And the first thing that I will say is I want to change the color. I will do the zero element color. So whenever I go the mouse on top of that, the first thing I want to do, my cursor, I want to be a pointer that will allow me whenever I go through the menu, I can see that little mouse over there. I'm not sure you're looking at my mouse. Okay, I now have my mouse. So now if I hover over, we can see that it's actually changing to that little cursor. And let's do also different change. So whenever I hover over my menu toggle, whenever, and let's do change the color to accent. Okay. Very cool. And menu works, but probably we can use a burger button. So let me show you how that actually works. Let's go to hero icons. I like that one. And let's look for menu. And let's select this one. And we can actually copy the SVG, the image. SVG is through code. If I copy that over, and if I go to my index.html, and instead of the menu word, I actually just paste it. I have my image there. We cannot see it because we need to make the class to actually show, because this class doesn't, hero icon use by default Tailwind classes. We don't are using the Tailwind library here. So through the class, let's actually remove this and make a class called burger, right? And we can actually say that for burger, and do the height, let's do 1.1 rem probably, and with 1 rem, and probably it's just a little bit small. So let's do 1.5, and now we can see it. And if we hover over, the button is working and it's still doing applying the code. So that's pretty neat. We have our burger button there. So now let's continue. So instead of applying display node to the menu itself, let's actually create a hidden class. And we will apply this hidden class to JavaScript later. So let's actually put JavaScript there. And we can actually now see our different elements or arrays for the menu. The next thing that we need to do is start showing the menu and the way it's supposed to. So let's, probably, it's already as a column mode, but let's do this just before the hidden after burger. Let's actually try to keep the order. Let's do our menu. We'll change to display flex, but we'll do the flex direction as column. And remember, in previous classes I show you, I gave you a link for test and saw all the flex elements. Those are the ones that we're just applying here. And now that we have that, we can actually have a little more control here. Probably we can do text align center. Let's do font size. Let's do 1.5 rem. Could be 25. And no, let's do 1.5 rem. Perfect. And let's do 9. Let's do 1. Let's do rem. Probably. So we have that little separation there. I like it. Actually, I'm thinking that probably we can get rid of this flex item in the menu. Yes, we can, because we're not using anymore there. Um, Actually, no, sorry. Yes, we need it because we want to change that element later, because we need to change the direction. So this actually need to be applied for the future. So let's keep it as a text element direction column. So we have those right there. Cool, cool, cool. Then what else we can do here? Let's actually do our menu items. We call it, how we call it, those. Let's do something with our menu items. So let's do our menu items, right? And let's just do a little hover there. So let's do some margin. So let's do maybe 2 ramps. I don't know if that's more. Yeah, to have more spacing. Yes. And the cursors are very pointer, so we can keep it like that. Perfect. And I can do now my menu item hover. I can do my color accent. Really? And I think we already have our menu, or little menu over there. And this will be pretty much the one that will be applied in the mobile design. So imagine this is like a cell phone. So this is how the way that it's supposed to be looking. And this button will trigger to show how high this particular element. Let's actually apply that functionality right now. That's why we created the hidden element. And then we can actually do the media queries to transform all this view in a traditional Navbar view. So let's open our JavaScript file. And probably what we can do, we need to select our document, and we need to select our button. Or we need to select our menu, and we need to select the button. We need to have access to both. So we do cons, and let's call it menu toggle. And let's do like this, equal document.query selector. And let's select the element that it has the class of menu toggle, I believe we call it. Oops, what I'm doing here. There you go. And documents is visibility. Perfect. And we need to, our menu will be something really similar. But it will be just select the class menu. Right? The first thing that I need to verify here is our menu toggle. I need to add an event listener, and will be real simple. We'll look at the click event, and on the click event we're going to do something. So let's do a simple callback, our function that will verify our menu, and we'll check our class list of that menu, and we need to toggle, and that's pretty cool, the class hidden. What this mean if I, and let me open the spec element for now. You can see the element UL, the menu, you just have the class menu here. So whenever I select, click here, to get hidden, and we can see that the class hidden was added, and was added to JavaScript, because the menu toggle event listener on the click event, apply it to the menu that we already selected to here, and recheck if hiding was there, just remove it. If it's not, just add it. It's pretty much what it's doing. If we do it again, it's there. Pretty neat, right? So we have our menu, it's actually working. Next steps will be change this overview to actually have those links in this particular site. And let's see if we can actually make it work that through the media query. So let's start with doing the media query. So this actually makes sense when it's a small size. Let me actually do a little bit bigger. But it doesn't make sense when we have something like this. And even here, it doesn't make sense either. So probably we can actually leverage a little space, put a little more in the middle, and we have like a more empty on the left, on the right, so we can centralize the information a little bit more. So probably that's what we actually need to move forward. And let me show you. There are different sizes that could be aligned or not. And one of the default ones, and you can select the one that is better for your project. But something that a lot of libraries uses, and I think because the first iPads have that. So like the tablet version will be like a really good breakpoint. So something little that the traditional iPad will be mobile and bigger than and from the iPad beyond will be desktop somehow. And that is around 768 pixels. So we move this, will be around here. So when the Windows 768, we should have the correct menu instead of this one over here. So let's start working with that one. In order to use the media query, we just do the add media, and then we select a specific property, and when that property has something particular, and we will see what the minimum width is 768 pixels. In this particular case, I want to change something. And the first thing that I want to do here is probably my wrapper is not going to be 100% anymore. My wrapper will be now, let's limit that to the size of this one. So this here looks actually really cool. So I will say that my width will be 768 pixels. And actually, sorry, remove this. I need to do my wrapper, of course. And let's put that one there. So we're telling that through the in this size, we need to do that one. So if we do bigger size, we can see that it doesn't move. It stays there. Into a smaller size, the brand and the icon moves with us, and it's expanding depending the screen size. But when you arrive to 768, you just stop. So that actually gives us really good look and feel of the service. Sometimes, let me just eliminate something 1.5. Yeah, the menu item, sorry, 2 rams and here on size 125. Yeah, just make it a little bit smaller. There you go. So here is working, and here. So what I want to do is in this media query, that we can see that it's actually been affected right now just for the width. What I want to do is I need to hide my menu toggle. My menu toggle should not be there anymore. So the first thing that we need to do, the other thing will be our menu toggle, and it will be not the cover state, will be the traditional one. We will display none. So it disappeared. When you go smaller size, is there. When you get a bigger size, It's not anymore. Yeah, it's doing it because it's applying the display size. And let's actually put this on the right so we can actually, oops, what I'm doing. Let me put this on the right probably so you can actually see it. And let's select our burger, right? And actually select the bottom of the menu toggle. And we can see if I get a bigger size, let's make this smaller. So if we go over 768, we can see that the media query got applied, display none, and we get smaller. That media query is not applied. If we go back to the bottom, we see that it's not there anymore because it's not been applied because of the size that we have. But when we go to that one, that menu toggle display none is applied to that particular media query. That's how the browser actually renders this information. And let's put it on the bottom just to have a better looking. Something that I could say probably, and I'm not able to see it here. Let me just make this a little bit. Can I make it this bigger? No. If I do something like this, if I do really big displays, it stays too. We probably can expand this a little more. So another size that I usually can use will be, and let me send that back to here. Let's do another media query, and let me actually copy this one. And that one will be the grapper, right? But instead of doing, well, let's do, I don't know, 12080. That's usually for desktop computers. So that's what the traditional square computer screens that you had previously. It was 2080 by 2124, something like that, I think. I don't remember very well, but long time that was the sizing. So we can actually change the size to that. Cool. So we can see that jump. So here in the responsive, in the smaller sizes, we can see there, and then it stops when it goes to this 768. But when you get over 2080, it do another job. And it stays over there. And probably depending on your size, you can do even actually bigger one. But that's pretty much how responsive design works. Like how to behave in different media queries, or how to flow in different sizing. So I think we have that over there. And I will not do any more in the bigger size. So because everything that is applied in the 7068 will be applied for this one. So let me just make this right again. Let's make the code and let's get back to our item here. So one of the things that we need to see is in the grapper. We didn't have the display flag. It was displayed everything together. So our grapper need to change. Actually, our menu. Let's actually do the menu first. So our menu is doing display flex, and we change the direction to column, right? We can just do in that size for menu, change it to row. So smaller size, it will be column, and then it will be to row. But for the wrapper, let's actually do display flex, and we can have align items center, and let's do justify content, space between. So start looking a little more like a menu. So we have this menu over here, and then we have this menu over there. We need to still working with the aligning a little bit, but you can see that This has been applied very well. Okay. One thing to see, we can see this actually get pushed a little bit down, and it got pushed a little bit down because we added the margin top of 2rem in order to add the separation here. But now, in this size, that margin top is not required. So let's do our menu item. Actually, let's copy this completely. Inside the media query, let's do the menu item, and probably this should be over here. Let's change this to 0. And now we can see this even aligned because we have the align item center. So here is applied, and here is 0. Let's add probably what we can do here is add a margin left. So margin left, and let's do, I don't know, 2rem. Look at that. We have a responsive menu now. Let me get out from this view. We see we hover over. We still have the red hover to this one, but when it get to this particular size, it changed direction and sizing, and it's still maintaining the center state. Really neat. Let's do a little bit bigger, and yeah, and that's pretty much. Well, I'm thinking that probably we can. Yeah, let's keep it like that. I think that should be more than enough. So we did the styling in less than 100 lines, and we have a responsive menu that is working better for us. We can add probably a more media queries for different sizing where that's supposed to be. But that thing is, our project is almost done. Because I'm saying it's almost done, because if we refresh here, it will show it the way it's supposed to. But if we go smaller size, and actually let's say that we enter to the site, to the page in this size, the first thing that we saw is that the menu is open. So by default, I think the menu should not be there. What will the best, one of the faster way to do it? We actually put the hidden element. So whenever you go here, you don't show it. The problem is when you go to the, as in the desktop side, you not show it either because you're hiding by default. So let's add a little more of JavaScript to actually do that calculator for us. And just a little bit just to fix that particular issue. I want to create a function called const, let's call init menu. It is not getting any parameters in, and let's do an arrow function, and let's do something. So we can see the window object, and this is the window object. So we can see the window inner width, and verify if this one is less than 768. And you can look in the end for that. So we can actually do something like if the window width is less than 68, we can do menu dot class list. We need to add the hiding class. Else, we need to remove that class. It's a little bit different to the toggle, because the toggle is if you have it, remove it. If you don't have it, add it. This is different because we have another parameter. We need to verify what is our window size. In order to do is we need to check that. In order to make this execute when we start our application, is we just need to do the init or menu function right here. And let's actually do it. So we go to a menu site and we refresh it. It's going to be empty, but we get a bigger size and we refresh it. It's right there. So now the menu is behaving a little bit better. In the desktop, when you go in, it's there. In a menu, in a mobile, a smaller size is not there, but you still can open it or close it through here. There is one more thing that I want to do. So in this particular case, we just hide it. If I'm showing this menu and I make it a bigger screen, I can see it. But I notice if I hide it over here and then I move to a bigger size, my menu still hide it. Why? Because the inner width is just executed on load when this JavaScript is executed the first time. So we need to add an event listener to the window. Whenever something happens, I need to execute init my menu again. And that one is really simple. It's going to Windows.add event listener. And the event is called resize. And for the resize, I want to execute in the menu. That means if let me actually comment it out. So something that I show you, if it's showing the menu, if it gets smaller, it shows it right there. I want to hide it. If I hide it in mobile or smaller, and I resize my window, I want to show it automatically. So this is what we'll look at. So we'll resize and we'll verify and we'll execute the menu. And in the menu, we'll verify what is my inner width, and depending is going to behave that particular case with that event listener. So if I do a smaller size, it probably would be better if I do it through here. We can see it a little bit better. There you go. Disappears and appears. So now the resizing is actually working. How cool is this? And that should be more than enough. So I really hope that you like this video. And what I will request you to do now is to initialize after you have everything saved. Let's open the terminal. And we got it. Where is my terminal? Right here. And you can actually do. Actually, I believe you can do it through here. Source control. We can initialize the repository. I add everything. So finish it, in all this case, and we commit it. We can publish the branch. And I installed the GitHub extension in my Visual Studio Code, so that way I'm able to publish it. So you look for the extensions here, look for GitHub, that you should be able to do. So I will allow it. I will continue. So I will open my Visual Studio back in order to make it available, and I will make it public in Roman B. Done. You say that it got published successful. I open it in GitHub. And look at this. How cool is this, right? Really neat. So now we have the source code, and this is pretty much what you need to gain me for the assignment. I almost forget something. So by default, if we open this and we try to run it or publish it in a server, and we'll see that probably next week, will not work properly because we need to compile everything that we install to the node modules, those dependencies. We need to compile and bundle everything as a traditional HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And in order to do it, and this is a little more like how web developers actually handle those dependencies, npm. In this case, there is bit had a function called build. So not everybody has a bit had it. So when I do npm run build, a new directory is created called distribution. And that distribution have a simple HTML that's really similar to what we just had, right? And we have the asset folder where we have all CSS and JavaScript all together. And the CSS includes everything that we just had it bundled over, ready to be published. And now you can actually take everything from distribution and send it to a particular server. And something that we'll look at around the next week. But for now, that's it. Meanwhile, creating this distribution folder didn't trigger changes in the source control because we have already the origin ignore was created by bit, and the distribution and the non-module folders are already there. But that's why it doesn't get bothered. So we can actually have those without progress. So that will be it. I really hope that you like it. Any question, any doubt, please don't hesitate to reach me. And happy coding, everybody.